Hey, spreading love, balance, stability, benevolence, fulfillment, satisfaction, grace, gratitude, connectivity. Yes, let's connect with the Most High on a consistent basis. That's the source of alignment. It doesn't matter what position you are in life, you can always align yourself with the abundance and prosperity of the Most High. There's always something to be grateful for, 24/7, at all times. If you use that mindset to your advantage, you can transmute any situation into nirvana. I was talking to my brother about contradictions, and I feel like all a contradiction is a fluctuation. It's almost like fuel. We're meant to contradict ourselves in order to find a place of balance. If you're not questioning everything and steadily evolving and learning, then there is no true growth. Stillness is meant to center your soul. Once we practice stillness, mindfulness, and awareness, that's how you tap in to the divine fluctuation that is progression, that is DNA evolution. Because it's never ending. We've been fed this ideology that life is linear, it's straightforward. But no, my DNA, your DNA has been here since the beginning, forever shifting, forever combining and collaborating with others' DNA. So this whole world is almost a contradiction, because that's what fuels all of us. Contradicting your past self, your past thoughts, your past patterns, your mindset, in order to create a new, improved version of yourself. You have to question things, but also you cannot be afraid of embodying one truth. The universal laws are things that will never go out of place. Our bird-headed eagle man Uncle Thoth Tahuti taught us these things. The law of karma, dharma, polarity, as above so below, things like this. Those are rules you could always follow, always go back to, in order to find a new perspective. But do it in the confines of something that's healthy, that's gonna be establishing longevity for you and the world to come. Once we build on those principles, knowing that what I do affects the outside world, it's like the reverberation, the throwing the rock at a still water. You know what I mean? You threw that little pebble in a big ocean, but that wave, the effects of that wave, every living organism in that ocean is gonna feel that. So being conscious and aware of that is really the foundation of how we can change the world. Because it's all connected in the circle of life. Nothing is separate from one another. We are all connected. Whether you want to believe it or not, whether I want to accept it or not, this is a divine truth. We are all connected. Once we realize that, we start to take accountability for our actions. Because a lot of times we think we're just out here roaming, doing whatever, and it's not affecting no one. But in all reality, you're directly tied to every ancestor that's ever had anything to do with your existence today. So by you living the way you're living, you're either honoring them or disrespecting them. You're either carrying out what they lived for in the first place, or you're paving your own route. Not to say that it's good or bad. You can do different things than what your ancestors did. But without knowing what they represented or what kind of abilities they had, you're really doing yourself a disservice, because there's so many abilities to gain by knowing the past. There's such a firm, solid foundation to establish by knowing where you came from and why you are here today. There's beauty in knowing who you are, who you were, because that can ultimately lead you to a successful, triumphant, victorious destination. It works out a whole lot better when you have sort of an idea of what your ancestors stood for. It gives you a deeper sense of meaning, a deeper drive to know where you came from, what you were put here to do. Ultimately, when we help ourselves, it makes it that much easier to help another individual. It took me a while to learn that. I just thought, life was about what they told us what was presented to us in movies, everyday life, watching other people, not really cultivating my inner knowing. Once I started to cultivate myself and tune into my frequency and realize what I liked, what I didn't, what kind of threw me out of alignment, I started to draw boundaries and grow a deeper sense of knowing of what I was sent here to do. Once I started realizing that everything's not meant to keep me in alignment. And it was when I was out of alignment that it actually propelled me into greater, deeper senses of knowing. So just like I said, I was able to take the negatives, because not every situation I've been through I could say I loved it. There was a lot of situations that broke the fuck out of me, that made me feel less than, that made me want to check out. I used to weigh 315 pounds. Today I'm at 185. I used to get belligerent drunk through the week, not just on weekends. I used to take all kinds of prescription drugs because I wanted to die. I wanted to get out of here. I had no connectivity to divinity or benevolence. I had no connectivity to God. So I thought, like most people, I just thought there was no God, there was no higher purpose. We were just sitting here to suffer, basically. We were just sit here to follow what the next person was doing. I had no ambition, no vision. I knew what I thought success looked like, and I sort of followed what everybody else was doing, their ideas of success, but that brought me no satisfaction, no fulfillment, no joy, no tranquility. It wasn't until I stopped and pulled myself out of the social construct, the matrix. It wasn't then until I realized I have way more of a purpose. It wasn't until I went through my awakening that I realized, what am I doing? I'm actually hurting my ancestors by engaging in these self-hatred rituals, these low vibrational, malevolent activities. I'm actually disrespecting my lineage, disrespecting myself, because if you can't disrespect your bloodline and not disrespect yourself. It's just not possible. You can't disrespect the people who put their lives on the line and sacrifice for you to be here today. You can't disrespect them and not disrespect yourself ultimately. And that's where my place of feeling unfulfilled, unsatisfied, unworthy was coming from, because I wasn't doing what I was put here to do. I wasn't living my life's purpose. Once I realized that, I instantly started to recultivate or cultivate my self-love, because prior to that I had no self-love. I was staying up late every night, pulling all-nighters, just random sex, you know what I mean? Nothing that was actually of substance, nothing that was actually progressing my soul. But it wasn't until, oh man, it wasn't until I woke up I realized I had to go through that in order to see what too much darkness will be like, could be like. You lose your sense of purpose. So once I woke up, I started to appreciate it a lot more, but it was in a different sense. It was in a sense that, thank you, God, that you brought me through to the other side so I could see what could happen, what I could be. I seen everything. I seen my future when I was of malevolence, when I was in low vibrational unalignment. I seen it. I seen it all. And it was not beautiful. I would have visions that I would be dead before 23. On my 23rd birthday, I was anxious as shit. I was anxious. Because I thought all those manifestations of my prior self were going to come to pass. Once I awoke, once I became awakened, which was actually at 23, when I was still drinking, smoking, I had my awakening. I've mentioned it in 2 other videos, I believe. I woke up and I instantly, after talking to God, my near-death experience, I instantly gave up everything that took me out of alignment. I gave up cigarettes. I gave up eating meat. I gave up dairy. I gave up drinking. I gave it all up instantly. Because we call it cold turkey, but it was just like I'm not sure. I was priming myself prior to that moment, but it was almost like, oh yeah, it's over. You already know what's up. Let's go. You already know what's up. You already know what you need to do. And I did it because I wanted better, because God wanted better for me, because there was a divine plan. And once I gave that up and started feeling better, thinking better, evolving, I started to look back on those past situations and look at it as a gradual stepping stool. I gradually came into the individual, into the alignment, into the divinity that it was waiting for me the whole time. The whole time I was roaming around in darkness, this version of myself was waiting for me the whole time. It was waiting for me to close out those karmic cycles, because I was literally just going through the same cycle over and over again. Over and over again. Once I cracked it, once I got cracked open, my heart chakra, my third eye, once it got cracked open, I immediately cut those cycles. It was almost like my higher self was sitting there the whole 20-something years of my adolescence, was just sitting there looking at me, laughing, thinking, is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it? Because the answer's right there. The answer's right there within him. The answer is right there. The key to his suffering is right there. The key to his salvation is right there. Is he gonna get it? And it took me hitting rock bottom, seeing the darkest of the dark, in order for me to say, hey, now fuck this. I'm with the light now. Or I'm with the balance now. Let me balance myself. Because you lean too much to one side, And that's when you fall off. It's a balancing act. Because once I did awaken, my first year and a half, I spent it on the love and light tip. I spent it on, oh, I love everybody, and oh my God, I love you, and peace be to you. And that shit got me fucked over. That shit got me fucked over, and I'm not afraid to admit it. You are supposed to be balanced.